The Packers roster is full. They've got a full 90-man roster as of right now. The projected roster cut-down day is going to be Tuesday, August 26th. That's not official, but looking at the last couple of years, that's kind of what I'm projecting it to be. The final preseason game will be that Sunday, the last time for all the new draft picks, UDFAs, everybody to make their claim to Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, everybody else in this organization, why they deserve a roster spot. Today, we're going to give you 5 surprise cut candidates to keep an eye out on over the last couple of months. Green Bay's added a ton of talent over the past week or so. Obviously, you take a look at all the draft picks. There's a lot of guys, especially in the first 4, 5, or 6 rounds, that are almost going to be guaranteed roster spots. I wouldn't be surprised if every single draft pick ended up making the roster. Micah Robinson is probably the only one that I would say has a chance not to, but also if you take a look at the cornerback room right now, it's not like there's going to be a ton of competition with him. And then you added 9 undrafted free agents. Easily my favorite on that list is Amar Johnson. We'll actually talk about him a little bit more in just a second. But you added 9 total guys, positions all over the field from running back to guard to cornerback, defensive tackle, linebacker, safety. You had a lot of really, really good players that at the end of the day, yes, they didn't get drafted, but if they come out to camp, prove they deserve a roster spot, this organization might just give them one. Before we get into the cut candidates, though, make sure you guys follow me on X, okay? Or Twitter, however you want to say it. I don't really like saying X, so we're going to call it Twitter. And I got 5 reasons why you should follow me, okay? Insightful and entertaining coverage. I post memes sometimes. I think they're funny. You might not. Hopefully you do. I'll post pictures of my dog every now and then, so if you want to see Applesauce or Golden Doodle, you can find her right there. And also, you get a shout-out on Monday's video. 4 reasons right there that you should give me a follow right now on X. You can find me at Joey Petersen 8. The link to my Twitter profile will be in the comments and description of today's video. Alrighty, let's get started with the cut candidates. 5 surprise names to look out for heading into the 2025 offseason that might not be Green Bay Packers when the 2025 season rolls around. And we're going to start off with a familiar name we've been talking about a lot recently. That is Jaire Alexander. I know the update that happened as of this week. Okay, I get it. I hear it. But also at the same time, Jaire still has to make this list. Okay? Now, it was a positive update. The first positive update probably since the end of the season. The first time I thought, wow, there's actually a chance that he's going to be on this roster in 2025. Rod Demoski tweeted this out earlier the week. According to a source, the Packers and Jaire Alexander continue to talk about a possible resolution. All options are still on the table: release, trade, or return. So that makes me think, positive things. But if we know anything about this situation, it goes up and down. And what happens one day is wildly different than next. The next update that happens is wildly different than either of those two. So this is going to keep changing. And at the end of the day, the one thing that hasn't changed is the numbers. And if he's a post-June 1st designation, $17.09 million is what would be added to the Packers cap space. Okay? So regardless of what happens, whether they're getting closer to a resolution or not, Brian Gutekunst is going to have that on the back of his mind. You part ways with Jaire Alexander, you save a lot of money. Now, I am hopeful that something works out because they didn't add in the cornerback position through the draft like I would have hoped they did. Going into the draft, I said I hope they go edge, wide receiver, cornerback, each one of those in the first 3 rounds, no order. And they ended up not taking a corner until round 7, which was very confusing to me. So I am hopeful that something works out because if it doesn't, I don't have a ton of faith in this cornerback room. What's going to happen? You let me know in the comment section down below what happens with Jaire Alexander. Is he going to get traded? Is he going to get cut? Or are they going to keep him? Let me know in the comment section down below by typing T for trade, C for cut, or K for keep. Let's throw it over to the offense now. Marshawn Lloyd, running back. And I get it. This guy's still really young. And we didn't really get to see anything about him this past season. And I still think he's got a ton of promise. But he wasn't there in 2024. He's kind of already proving to be a little bit injury prone because from training camp to week 1, he dealt with 3 injuries. He wasn't injured for that whole span of time. With the same thing, it was 3 different injuries. A hip injury in training camp, hamstring injury in the preseason, sprained ankle week 1, was finally getting back to a little bit, more healthy. They thought we were going to finally see him around week 10, and then boom, he gets hit with appendicitis during the bye week, okay? So he just wasn't on the field, flat out, plain and simple. And I talked about Amar Johnson just a little bit ago at the top of today's video, but I actually really, really like this kid. There's a lot that he does really well. He's shifty, he's fast, but he also plays with a lot of strength, weighing 205 pounds at 5'9". And he's a workhorse, 14 touchdowns, 1,200 yards for South Dakota State this past weekend. Now, I will be honest, every single part of me expects Lloyd to make this roster. But I'm just saying, keep an eye out on Amar Johnson to impress this summer. Okay? Keep an eye out on him to at least make it somewhat of a competition. I think he's got too much talent not to, and I think in Marshawn Lloyd's year in 2024, he showed a little bit of, I don't want to say weakness with the injury proneness, but we all know that Green Bay's kind of tired of dealing with injury-prone players with Jaire Alexander and with Christian Watson. Speaking of Christian Watson, let's talk about wide receivers now. How about Mecole Hardman? One of your newest Green Bay Packers, added him a couple of months ago, probably around a month ago, early in free agency. And Mecole has had an interesting past couple of seasons. 3 years ago, had one of his best years, 693 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2022, played in 8 games, still found the end zone 4 times. Hasn't caught a touchdown pass in the last 2 seasons and has only received for over 214 yards in the last 2 seasons. Now, what kind of makes me believe that he might make this roster is the fact that he's going to give you a ton of value in the return game. And you thought that might be Keyshawn Nixon? Well, Keyshawn Nixon doesn't want to do that. Matt Schneidman, writer for The Athletic, tweeted this out in early January, saying, direct quote from Keyshawn, "I don't really want to do it anymore. There's going to be talks with the coaching staff and stuff like that, but I think it's over with for me. I want to be CB1. CB1 is not doing kick returns. That's just what it is, okay? So if Keyshawn Nixon doesn't want to return the football, Mecole Hardman might be the next best choice, and we all knew that when he was signed in the first place, that it was to be a special teams option. But another interesting thing to think about is Xavier Williams. He returned kicks his freshman year at TCU, didn't really do it after that. However, with the new kickoff rules, it's kind of more about having a big player that's really good with running the football, that's fast, that's agile, that's athletic. That's everything that Xavier Williams is. Because it's shorter field, it's more of like a block-up scheme and things like that, and it's less just of the old, let's just get the fastest, quickest player out there. Coming up, I got 2 more cut candidates that we're going to look at for your Green Bay Packers. But before we do any of that, I got to make sure that you guys lock us in right now and join the train, okay? Because we are the fastest individually owned Packers YouTube channel, okay? So what are you waiting for? Make it happen right now. We've grown by like 1,000% over the last 3 months, and that's not stopping anytime soon. So get this train, get on it before it passes you by. Join us for everyday coverage of your favorite team in green and gold right here on the Packers Report. Back to the defense we go. Let's talk about Arron Mosby, defensive end. And I'm not just saying he's a cut candidate because I hate the way he spells his name with 2 R's instead of 2 A's. Regardless, 2024 was nothing that impressive from him. And I get it. He wasn't an every down player. He wasn't looked at as an every down player. Wasn't thought of to be, you're going to go into 2024 and have just this unbelievable season, but still 12 tackles, half a sack, and a tackle for loss is an interesting kind of way to look at things for a guy who played in 16 games. And you're adding in 2 guys in Barron Sorrell, who I think was the best draft pick in this entire draft. You got him in the 4th round, 110th overall prospect. And you're also adding Colin Oliver. And I get it. He's a linebacker, but I think he's going to play a lot of designated pass rush in Jeff Hafley's scheme with this Packers defense. So you're adding 2 guys to the draft that are going to be good pass rushers for this team, that have a lot of really great strengths, have a lot of really great ability to get to the passer. And so you kind of got to look at Arron Mosby and say, is it necessary that he keeps a roster spot? I don't know if it is. Let's go back to the offense with our final cut candidate of today's episode. To the tight end room we go with Mr. Ben Sims. This tight end room, I've got a lot of faith in. Okay, I'm really, really confident in. I love Tucker Kraft. I'm actually expecting him to, even though he had a phenomenal season last year, to take an even bigger jump in this offense with the addition of talent surround him. And when you look at Ben Sims, whether it's a pre-June first cut or a post-June first cut, this team's going to save $1 million. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot to an NFL franchise, and it's not. But for a guy who caught 4 balls in 2024, I could see this happening, right? You're not going to cut a player for $1 million if you think he is an asset to your team. But my take on it is like, you know what? He caught 4 passes last year. So they could use that extra $1 million. I like Ben Sims, but I think it's already a pretty deep tight end room in and of itself. Okay, and I just don't know if he's going to have the place, especially when you think of all the talent added to the wide receiver room this year. With 2 draft picks in the first 3 rounds to an already pretty talented group. You added Mecole Hardman in free agency. You drafted Savion Williams. You drafted Matthew Golden. And you already have a lot of guys on this roster that you feel pretty confident in. So I could see them limiting one of the tight end spots, adding another one in the wide receiver room. Here's the 5. All righty, look at them and pick one to cut. Who do you think it's going to be? Is it Jaire Alexander, Marshawn Lloyd, Mecole Hardman, Arron Mosby, or Ben Sims? Type their initials to vote for them in the comment section down below and let me know your answer. As always, appreciate every single one of you guys for joining us right here on the Packers Report for daily coverage on your favorite team in green and gold. There's no better place to go than right here. So lock us in.